We buried my mother on a rainy Thursday. She would have hated that. She liked her goodbyes dry and her makeup untouched. But the clouds didn't ask for permission, and the sky let go anyway. After the service, I was the last one to leave her apartment. Everyone else had done their part, brought casseroles, cried in the right places, swapped polite memories. But grief is quieter when you're alone. It moves differently. I sat on her worn armchair, sorting through drawers and boxes, unsure what I was looking for. That's when I found her wallet. It was tucked inside the nightstand drawer. Not in her purse. Not where it belonged. That struck me as odd. The leather was cracked, edges soft with time. I opened it slowly, expecting the usual IDs, loyalty cards, maybe an old receipt. But inside the photo sleeve was something else. A picture. Of a boy. Not me. Not my brother. Not anyone I recognized. He looked maybe 7 or 8. Curly brown hair. Freckles. A smile so wide it didn't look posed. And on the back, in her handwriting delicate and looping, like always. My Little Sunshine. 2005. I stared at it for a long time. Because in 2005, I was already in college. And my brother was 17. So who was this kid? And why did my mother keep his photo close all these years without ever saying a word? I flipped it over again, hoping I'd missed a clue. Nothing. Just the boy, the handwriting, the silence that followed, and the gut-deep feeling that I'd just opened a door. One she never meant for me to find. I called my brother the next morning. He picked up on the 3rd ring, his voice groggy with sleep or grief or both. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah. No. Not really." There was a pause, the kind we were both too used to. "What's up?" I told him I found a photo in Mom's wallet. Said I didn't recognize the kid. Asked if he did. He went quiet for a little too long. "A photo," he finally said. "Yeah. Young kid. Maybe 7 or 8. Curly hair, freckles. Big grin. Says My Little Sunshine, 2005 on the back." Another pause. "Never seen it," he said flatly. "Probably a neighbor's kid or something." "In her wallet? For over a decade? She kept weird stuff. You know that." He was brushing it off. Hard. But I knew my brother. He was calm when he lied. Overly calm. That was his tell. "You're sure?" I asked. I said I don't know him. Then he changed the subject. Asked if I talked to the lawyer yet. Said he had to go. Hung up too fast. I stared at the phone. He was hiding something. I knew it. And the weird thing was, he didn't sound surprised. He sounded caught. I looked at the photo again. Something about the kid's smile felt too personal, too loved, to be a stranger. Like the person behind the camera knew exactly how to make him laugh. I flipped it over again, hoping maybe I'd missed something. But it was still just My Little Sunshine. 2005. Nothing else. No name. No clue. Except now, I had a new question. Why would my brother lie about a photo? My mom was the kind of person who kept everything: birthday cards, expired coupons, even old address books with names scratched out and rewritten over the years. I pulled the heaviest one off the bookshelf in her study. It smelled like paper and dust and a little like her perfume. Flipping through, I found names I hadn't heard since childhood. Aunt this and Uncle that, most of them not blood, just old neighbors, friends, people who floated in and out of her life like seasons. And then one name stopped me. Charlotte M. Next to it, a number. And in parentheses, Gavin's mom. Gavin. It was the first time the photo had a maybe name. I grabbed my phone and dialed before I could talk myself out of it. 3 rings. Then a voice. "Hello. Hi. I'm sorry to bother you. Is this Charlotte?" "Yes. Who's calling?" My name's Adam. I'm here. I'm Lila Green's son." There was a pause. Then a long inhale. "Oh," she said. "I was wondering when I'd hear from one of you." My pulse picked up. "So, you knew my mom?" "We met a long time ago." "Through Gavin." "Can I ask, who's Gavin?" Another pause. "Gavin was a sweet boy. Your mother loved him very much." "Loved him how?" "Like family," she said gently. "Like something she'd been waiting for." "So he was." "You should come by," she said. "There are things you should see." "Is he alive?" She hesitated. "That's not my story to tell. But I can give you what she left behind." I thanked her, scribbled down the address, hung up, and just sat there. My mother had kept a whole person out of our lives. Why? And what did this woman mean by, "There are things you should see"? Charlotte lived just outside town, in a small house with chipped shutters and wind chimes that didn't match but sounded perfect together. It felt lived in. Safe. She opened the door before I knocked. Maybe she'd been waiting. You look like her, she said, stepping aside. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just followed her in. The living room was cluttered with soft colors, family photos, and books that had been read more than once. It smelled like tea and something sweet baking in the kitchen. I didn't know about you, I said. That wasn't your fault, she replied. And it wasn't mine. She walked over to a cabinet, opened the top drawer, and pulled something out. Your mother gave me this the last time we spoke. Told me to keep it safe. Said maybe one day someone would come asking. She handed it to me. A photo. The same photo I found in my mother's wallet. Same boy. Same smile. Same curly hair and crooked front tooth. But this one was different. On the back, in the same delicate handwriting, were 5 words that weren't on the copy I had. Forgive me. He deserved better. My throat tightened. Who is he? I asked. Charlotte's face softened in that way grief sometimes looks like grace. Gavin. My son. But not just mine. I blinked. What does that mean? She hesitated, then nodded toward the couch. You should sit down. So I did. And that's when she said it. Your mother raised Gavin for the first 3 years of his life. I sat frozen on Charlotte's couch. My mother had raised a child for 3 years and never told anyone? I don't understand, I said. She wasn't a foster parent. She never mentioned adoption. There's no record, no photos. Nothing. Charlotte nodded, eyes heavy with memory. That's because it wasn't official, she said. None of it was. She took a slow sip of tea and began. I was 22, fresh out of a bad relationship. No family nearby. Gavin came early, and I was drowning postpartum, broke, barely functioning. Your mother lived in the apartment next to mine. She used to bring me meals. Then she started watching Gavin so I could sleep. Eventually, it became more. I moved in with someone new, someone who didn't want a child. So I left Gavin with your mom. Just for a little while, I said. She paused. 3 years went by. My chest felt tight. Did she want to keep him? Charlotte gave a sad smile. She loved him like he was hers. She called him her sunshine. He called her Mama Lila. So why give him back? Charlotte's eyes glossed. Because I came back. I was sober. Stable. I wanted to be a mother again. And she let me. Just like that. Not just like that. It broke her. She walked to the bookshelf and pulled down a worn journal. She wrote letters. I wasn't supposed to read them, but I did. She handed me one. The envelope was unsealed, but old. My mother's handwriting again. I pulled out the letter inside. He called me Mama today, and I didn't correct him. I should have, but I didn't. And now I don't know how to undo it without breaking both our hearts. My throat closed. Charlotte reached out, gently touched my hand. She let him go, Adam, because she thought it was right, even though it nearly ruined her. I looked at the photo again. Suddenly, I saw something in his smile, something I hadn't noticed before. He looked a little like me. I held the letter tighter than I meant to. The paper was soft from age, but the words hit sharp. Mama. That word unraveled something I hadn't even realized I'd tied down inside me. Charlotte, I said, barely above a whisper, was there any chance Gavin was hers? Like, really hers? She didn't flinch. Didn't look surprised. Just took a long breath, like she'd been waiting for that question. I asked her that once, she said, during the worst fight we ever had. And she said no. That Gavin was mine. That she never crossed that line. But you didn't believe her? She looked away. She cried when she said it. But not the kind of cry that comes with relief. It was the kind of cry that holds back something deeper. Something unspoken. You think she lied? Charlotte didn't answer. Not with words. Instead, she reached for something in the journal's front pocket. A folded page. Different paper. Thicker. More recent. She passed it to me. I found this after she passed. It wasn't dated. I unfolded it. Just 3 lines. Some truths are too heavy to pass down. But that doesn't make them less true. You were mine, once. Even if the world never knew. I felt it in my bones before I understood it in my mind. She gave him up, twice. Charlotte nodded. I think the first time was when she let herself love him. And the second was when she let him believe she wasn't his. Why would she do that? Because she thought he deserved something she couldn't give. A clean story. A stable answer. The air felt thinner suddenly. I looked again at the photo, at his eyes, his smile, the shape of his chin. And something inside me shifted. Where is he now? I asked. Charlotte's expression changed, flickered between hope and hesitation. He's grown. Lives 2 towns over. Teaches music. Does he know about her? Not everything. Just that he once had someone who loved him like a mother. Does he know my name? Charlotte looked me dead in the eyes. No. I drove home with the photo on the passenger seat. It felt wrong to put it in the glove box. It felt wrong to put it anywhere. That night, I couldn't sleep. I laid in bed, phone in hand, staring at the blank text message screen. To Gavin M. I had his number. Charlotte had given it to me, but only after I asked. You don't have to tell him, she'd said. You can let him live his life the way he knows it. He's okay. That was the problem. He was okay. And I was sitting in a flood of questions, holding on to truths that might unravel someone else's peace. What did I want from him? A conversation? A connection? A brother? I thought about what I'd even say. Hi. You don't know me, but my mother might have been yours. No. I deleted the draft. Then typed again. I knew Lila Green. Still wrong. Deleted that too. Eventually, I turned off my phone and told myself I'd sleep on it. But then, the next morning, something strange happened. I got a voicemail. Unknown number. 43 seconds long. I hit play. A soft, steady voice came through the speaker. Hi, this might sound odd. My name's Gavin. I was talking to Charlotte last night, and she mentioned someone found the photo. Said you might want to talk. My stomach flipped. You don't have to respond. If there's something you want to say, or if you knew her too, I'd like to hear it. He paused for a long moment. Anyway, yeah, that's all. Click. He had reached out first. And suddenly, all the drafts I'd deleted came rushing back with new weight. Because now I had to answer. Not just for me, but for her. We met at a quiet cafe between our towns. Neutral ground. No expectations. Just two men with the same photo tucked into different pockets. Gavin walked in right on time. Tall, soft-eyed, with a nervous energy that made him seem younger than he probably was. He smiled when he saw me, hesitant but genuine. Adam. Yeah, Gavin. We shook hands like strangers. But something in the grip felt familiar. Like I'd held it once before and just didn't remember. We sat down, ordered coffee, avoided the point, until he pulled out the photo and placed it gently on the table. Same boy, same smile, worn at the corners, like mine. I used to think she was a dream, he said quietly. I looked up. Lila, he added. Your mom. I stayed still. Let him talk. For a long time, no one would tell me much. Just that I lived with someone when I was really young. That she loved me. That she let me go. He ran a thumb over the edge of the photo. I used to ask if I made her up. Like, maybe she was just something I needed to believe in. You know? Like an imaginary friend, but real. I nodded. My throat was tight. Charlotte finally told me more when I turned 18. She said Lila gave me back because it was the right thing. But I always wondered if it was the right thing for me, or just everyone else. That hit hard. He looked at me, really looked, for the first time. So who are you? I hesitated. Her son. His expression shifted. Not shocked, not scared, but like something clicked into place. I always thought I looked a little like someone I didn't know. We both laughed softly. The same laugh. I think we both heard it. You were never a secret to her, I said. But she never figured out how to fit you into the rest of the world. And me? He asked. I just wanted to know if she loved me. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my copy of the photo, flipped it over, let him read the words. My Little Sunshine. 2005. He blinked hard. She did. We didn't rush to leave the cafe. After the silence settled and the photo sat between us like a bridge, Gavin reached into his backpack. There's something I should show you, he said. He pulled out a small, dented tin box, light blue, chipped at the corners. I've had this since I was a kid. Charlotte said I kept it when I came back from Lila's. I don't remember packing it. He opened it slowly. Inside were a few small toys, a plastic lion, a broken keychain, a crayon drawing of what might have been two people under a yellow sun, and a note. Folded small. Faded. I never understood what this was, he said, handing it to me. Thought it was a poem. Maybe something from a storybook. I unfolded it carefully. The paper was delicate, but I recognized the handwriting instantly. My mother's. And it wasn't a poem. It was a list. Things I hope you never forget. You are loved fiercely. You are allowed to feel everything. You are safe, even when I'm not there. You are good, even when you mess up. You are mine, always, even if I have to let you go. Gavin read it over my shoulder. He didn't speak for a while. Then finally, he said, She really was my mom, wasn't she? Yeah, I said. She really was. He leaned back, blinking quickly. This list, it's everything I needed growing up. And for a moment, we just sat in it, two lives that had run parallel for years, separated by walls of silence and sacrifice. Then he looked at me again. Do you think she ever regretted it? I thought about the letter, the photo, the way she kept his memory close, but never spoke his name. I think she regretted what silence took from all of us. He nodded, and then said something I didn't expect. There's one more thing. I didn't understand it before, but maybe you will. He reached into the bottom of the box and pulled out an envelope. My mother's handwriting again. This time, it was sealed. On the front, it said, "To be open when you're ready." Gavin placed the envelope on the table like it was something alive, fragile, waiting to exhale. We looked at each other. You sure? I asked. He nodded. If she wrote it. I want to know. I opened it slowly. The paper inside was neatly folded, no sign of wear, like it had been sealed with purpose. Protected. And when I started reading, her voice was in every word. Gavin, if you're reading this, it means I didn't get to say these things out loud. Maybe I never found the right moment. Or maybe I was scared of what the truth would undo. The world told me I wasn't allowed to love you the way I did. That letting you go was the right thing. That mothers came in all forms, but only one could claim the title. But the truth is, I was your mother in all the ways that mattered. In the midnight feedings. In the scraped knees. In the songs before bed and the whispered hopes for your future. You didn't come from me. But you were mine. And if you ever wonder why I stepped back, it wasn't because I stopped loving you. It was because I loved you enough not to fight for something that might break you. I left space for your life to grow around what I couldn't be. But never doubt, you were, and always will be, my little sunshine. Love always. Lila. By the time I finished reading, Gavin's eyes were full. He pressed a hand to his face, then reached across the table and touched the corner of the letter like it was something sacred. I don't remember her voice, he whispered. But this sounds like her. I nodded. That is her. He took a shaky breath. What now? It was a good question. The truth was out. The silence was gone. But what came next? I think, I said, we figure that out together. He smiled at me for the first time that felt easy. Like a door had opened. And then, just before we stood to leave, Gavin looked back at the letter. Do you think she ever wondered if we'd find each other? I thought about the photo in her wallet. How she kept it close. How she labeled it simply, my little sunshine. No, I said. I think she knew we would. We decided to meet at Mom's apartment the next day. There was something about being in her space, her real, lived-in space, that made everything settle. Her scent still lingered in the fabric of the curtains. Her handwriting was still on the notes stuck to the fridge. It was like time had paused here. Gavin walked around slowly, touching framed photos, flipping through recipe cards, studying the parts of her life he was never invited into. Then he stopped at her desk. What's this? He asked, picking up a slim envelope tucked behind the old desk lamp. It was addressed in block letters, unlike her usual script. That's not hers, I said. He opened it. Inside was a single typed note. No greeting. No signature. Just this. We agreed she wouldn't know. That was the deal. You got your time. I got mine. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. We looked at each other. You don't think, I started. My mom, Gavin whispered. Charlotte. I wanted to say no. That it wasn't possible. That the same woman who handed me tea and truth a week ago wouldn't write something this cold. But the note was real. We agreed she wouldn't know, I repeated, heart pounding. Know what? Gavin's voice was barely audible. Maybe that Lila was my biological mother. I froze. What? Think about it, he said. The timelines. The way she talked around things. She always said Lila loved me, but never said how I came to her. My mouth went dry. You think Charlotte adopted you from Mom? He nodded slowly. What if it wasn't just about stepping in to help? What if it was arranged? Unofficially. Quietly. The words from the note burned in my mind. You got your time. I got mine. We stood in the center of that room, surrounded by everything she'd never said aloud. And it hit me. She had never given Gavin up because she wanted to. She was never meant to keep him at all. We went back to see Charlotte. This time, we didn't call first. She opened the door slowly, saw us both standing there, me with the letter in hand, Gavin with something heavier in his eyes. She didn't look surprised. Just tired. You found it, she said, before either of us spoke. It wasn't hers, I said, holding up the note. You wrote this. She didn't deny it. Instead, she stepped aside and let us in. We sat in her living room, The same spot where she'd told me Mom raised Gavin for 3 years. But now, the story had changed. Tell us the truth, Gavin said, voice steady. All of it. Charlotte folded her hands in her lap. Then she began. Your mother got pregnant at 24. It wasn't planned. The father, he disappeared before you were born, Adam. She never told him about you. A few years later, it happened again. Different man. This time, she told me. She was scared. Not of being a mother again, but of failing. She said she barely kept her head above water raising one boy. Said she didn't want to ruin two. So we made an agreement. She looked at Gavin now. She asked if I would take you. Not as a babysitter. Not as a friend. As a mother. We never made it official. But I raised you like you were mine. And she washed from just next door. Stepped in when I struggled. Loved you from a distance. Until one day, you called her mama. Her voice cracked. That was the beginning of the undoing. She wanted you back. But I reminded her of the deal. That she'd asked me to do this. That I was the one who stayed. We fought. Badly. She stopped coming over. And then one day, I opened the door, and there you were. A bag packed. A note in your pocket. She reached into a small wooden box and pulled out the note. Gavin took it. It was Mom's handwriting. He belongs with you. But please, don't let him forget I tried. Gavin's hands shook. You kept this. Charlotte nodded. For when you were ready. I deserve to know, he said, not with anger, but sadness. I know, she whispered. But I was trying to protect you. All of us were. We left quietly. Neither of us said much in the car. Back at my place, Gavin stared out the window. You know what's strange, he said. All my life, I felt split. Like I was carrying someone else's sadness inside me. I looked over at him. Turns out, it wasn't someone else's. He nodded. It was hers. I reached for the photo again, creased, softened, real. The truth hadn't erased the past. It had just reframed it. She hadn't been perfect, but she had loved him. Fully, fiercely, quietly. The kind of love that puts someone else first. So what now? Gavin asked. I smiled. Now? We remember her. Together. Because the twist wasn't that she kept a secret. It was that her silence was a sacrifice. And love was in everything she didn't say.